So let's talk about revenue management. What is it and why should you do it? Many people speak about revenue management and they say, yeah, we're doing revenue management, and they refer to dynamic pricing, or grid optimization. We are revenue management champions. And certainly, well, those initiatives are a component, and it is absolutely evolution in our outdoor hospitality industry. That's just scratching the surface. As I mentioned to you, the hotel industry is far evolved from this, but in the outdoor hospitality industry, it's exciting because we're really in our infancy stage of what we can do. So to me, what that means is there's just a ton of opportunity, and a CampSpot is really going to lead the way in this. So if we go to the next slide, revenue management, what is that, right? If you look at a dictionary definition, revenue management is when you use data and analytics to plan and optimize your pricing. It helps you predict customer behavior so you can maximize product availability and pricing. And when you understand your customers, you can sell to them at the right time, at the right price, and the right channels. Or as I like to say, at the right price, in the right site, to the right guest at the right time. The point is, if you don't look at it and you don't do anything about it, you're leaving money on the table. The revenue management is a conscientious and an intentional effort to maximize your revenue. Who wouldn't want 5 to 15% more revenue for your business? If your business is making 2 million a year, with some intentional effort, wouldn't you want to make an additional 300K, which is incremental to the bottom line? You just have to put a bit more attention to it, and dynamic management. So as we go through this, I'm going to move quickly, and I'm going to be referencing a lot of data points and looking at a lot of different things. CampSpot is going to make this, both the recording available afterwards, as well as the deck. So certainly take notes if you want, but all of this information will be available to you. We will also leave room at the end for questions, so feel free to fire away. We appreciate engagement and want them. So load them up. We'll get to them at the end. So, the first thing you start with is, kind of understanding your industry. So, I imagine, who loves budget season? We just all finished with our budgets. I unless you didn't do a budget, but I hope you did. But I guess the question is, when you did your budget, did you craft a strategy for 2025, or did you just look at your numbers for last year and say, hey, I can do 3% more? What did you do? But everybody should have a strategy, and the strategy should be your guiding, light for 2025, and how you approach what your revenue management strategies and then your tactics are going to be after that. And for us to really determine what our strategy is going to be, we need to understand the market, both macro and micro. And so this slide basically represents, some sources where you can get your data. And what data do you use to get your information? How do you determine, your market conditions, which of course in turn determines your overarching strategy. So up here on the screen, I really think, the preeminent one is the CampSpot Data Dig. If you all haven't looked at it yet, you can find it in CampSpot's platform or on their LinkedIn page. Subscribe to it. I get it every single month. I think it's industry leading. It really kind of hones in on what the trends have been year to date. And now with the new technology, it also looks at future pace. So that's one source. Another is Sage Outdoor Advisory, one of the best in the business. They do feasibility studies, appraisals. They put out their annual report every year as well, and they have a lot of great information from that perspective. Modern Campground, also partnering with Scott Bear and Karen Consulting. They put out annual reports, and they also put out monthly reports. Take a look at those. Take a look at the National Association, OHI. They put out several reports during the course of the year on camper trends, regional trends, etc. Subscribe there as well. And then, of course, the KOA Press Room and the American Glamping Association, they also put out information. The point is, as you can see, there's a lot to get, and not all of them say the same information. So I look at all of them and, gather the information and kind of, get a good picture, an indication of what might happen in 25 from different circumstances. And that in turn helps me determine, what my strategy is going to be.